Hey everyone, thanks for tuning in. Steven here with Team Euphoric, and today I'm going to be taking you through an ab routine to help you get shredded just in time for the summer. This is week 14 of the 6 months to shredded abs routine, and it's the same as last week, only this week we're going to be adding a little bit more volume to the routine, and we're going to need some mats to lay down and a kettlebell. With regard to this routine, it's intended for intermediates. If you're a little bit more advanced and you don't want to wait for the whole 6-month program, consider becoming a member, as I have the entire 6-month program outlined in my community tab. But with regard to the actual exercises themselves, for the first exercise, we're going to be in a supine position, meaning we're going to be laying down on our back, and it's going to be the abdominal curl up. And for this variation, it's the same as last week, where the legs are straight. We have the fingertips at the mastoid process, so right at the temples. And for this one, if you recall, we're starting by tucking the chin in. We're going to raise the thoracic spine, create a nice C-shaped curve with the thoracic spine, then lift the lumbar spine. So we want to go in a nice rounded spine. So we're tucking the chin in and coming back up and then coming back down. So tuck in the chin, lift the thoracic spine, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then on the way down, we're touching L5, L4, L3, L2, L1. And that is the abdominal curl up with the fingertips at the mastoid process. For this, we're going to do 2 sets of 30 repetitions. And then the next exercise, we're going to move on to some oblique work. So we're going to do the external obliques. We're going to flex the knees to 90 degrees. We're going to take the hand, cup it over the shoulder, and then we're going to bring the arm across. We want the arm between mid-thigh. So we want it between the iliac crest and between the patella. And imagine that you are trying to bring your elbow toward your thigh. So we're doing positive torsion, which is a combination of flexion with rotation. So for this one, because we're focusing on the supra-umbilical fibers, meaning the upper abdominals, we're going to go up to the level of the L3, or roughly the umbilicus. We don't need to go any higher than that. So we're going to go into flexion and rotation, and then come back down. And that is the supra-umbilical strengthening exercise for the external obliques. For this one, we're going to be doing 2 sets of 25 repetitions. Once we've completed that, we're going to move on to the transverse abdominis strengthening exercise. We're going to straighten out the legs. And for this one, we're going to do 3 total sets. Each set is going to have 5 passes. And what one pass is, the first one, we're going to inhale, raise the belly to the sky. And then exhale, we're going to sink the belly deep toward the spine. Then we're going to keep that belly button tucked in. That counts as pass number 1. For pass 2, we're going to inhale. Don't allow the belly button to come up. Keep it tucked in. And exhale, try and sink deeper toward the spine. That's pass number 2. Pass number 3, we're going to do the same thing. Inhale. Keep the belly tucked in. Exhale. Sink deeper toward the spine. We got 2 more passes. Inhale. Keep the belly tucked in. Exhale. And then one final pass. We're inhaling. Really focus on keeping that belly tucked in. Don't let it raise. Exhale. Sink down toward the spine. And then we're going to relax. So we're going to reset. Inhale. Raise the belly button toward the sky, and then exhale. We're going to do 3 total sets. Each set is comprised of 5 different passes. Once we've done that, we're going to move on to the sub-umbilical work, and we're going to start with the rectus abdominis sub-umbilical fiber, so the lower abdominals. We want the arms at the level of the glenohumeral angle, so between 90 to 135 degrees, depending on your morphology. And then we want the hips and knees to 90 degrees. For this one, what we're going to do is we are going to project the knees up toward the sky. So we want the thighs perpendicular to the ground, and then we're going to lift to the level of the umbilicus, or the L3. We don't need to go all the way up. We're just going to the level of the umbilicus because we're focusing on the sub-umbilical fibers. For this one, the first time you do it, you may not have a lot of strength to get your hips up off the ground, but the intention is to bring your knees up. As you get stronger, you're going to be able to lift your butt up off the ground. You want to make sure that you are going straight up. You don't want to go into hip flexion, and you don't want to go into hip extension. So try to keep your hips perpendicular to the ground, and then just project them straight up and come back down. We're going to perform 2 sets of 25 repetitions, and then we're going to move on to the subumbilical external oblique fibers. So the hands are at the level of the glenohumeral angle once again. With one leg, we're going to flex the hip to 90 degrees. With the opposite leg, we want to go into adduction, a deduction of 30 to 45 degrees by crossing the leg over the opposite hip. And then we're once again going to go into positive torsion, so a combination of flexion and rotation by driving the hip toward the opposite shoulder. And for this one, because it is the subumbilical fibers, once again, we are focusing on just going to the level of the umbilicus, or the L3. We are going to do 2 sets of 20 repetitions for that exercise. And as usual, we're going to finish off with 20 repetitions of the thoracic diaphragm strengthening exercise. So we're going to place the kettlebell on the belly. We're going to inhale, raise the belly up toward the sky. Exhale, let it sink deep toward the spine. So we inhale, raise, and exhale, let it sink. And that is it for week 14 of the 6 months to shredded abs routine. Quick recap. We've got the abdominal curl up. We're going to do 2 sets of 30 repetitions. Then we have the supra-umbilical external obliques. We're going to do 2 sets of 25. We have 3 sets of 5 passes for the transverse abdominis strengthening exercise. Then we have 2 sets of 25 repetitions of the sub-umbilical rectus abdominis with the knees up to the sky. And then we have 2 sets of 20 repetitions for the sub-umbilical external oblique fibers. And then we're going to finish off with 1 set of 20 repetitions for the thoracic diaphragm strengthening exercise. But that is it for week 14 of the 6 months to shredded abs routine. And then next week, I'm going to be taking you through week 15.